Shabbat Shalom, everybody. This is Rabbi Stephen, Rob Shmuel, Ben Yehoshua. Yes, Rashbi in the house. Just kind of a note, I've listened to your feedback and I understand that sometimes the sound on the YouTube feeds and also this 10-minute Torah that I do every week is not great. So we went ahead, we got a microphone. So please give me some feedback how that works so far. I've used it a couple of times and it seems to be working real well. So, okay. Hopefully you can hear me. So, very quickly, this Friday, the 26th, we will be having a Friday night service. We will be having both a live for those people that feel comfortable, coming together in person. We will also, again, be live streaming. We had some technical difficulties with the YouTube stream last time, and this time I think hopefully it's a little bit better. If not, we'll do something, but I'll make sure that it's continuing to stream. If it interrupts in the middle, we'll get on it. Okay. All right. So, and hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully you had a great Father's Day. For those of you that observed, new day. It's summer. The 20th was the summer solstice. So we got that season coming. So we are getting into the book of Numbers, and as they say in Hollywood, the plot thickens. So last week, Shalach Lecha, you may send for yourself. We had, God told Moses, if you want, go ahead and send some spies out there to check out the land, do some reconnaissance, and come on back. And of course, the spies, they didn't lie. They just took the truth and spun it. First example, I believe, in history, and recorded history anyway, where people actually spun. It's also known as propaganda. So there it is. As a result, they scared the Israelites. They didn't want to go in. They felt they weren't up to the task. God said, okay, so now you're going to be wandering around the desert 40 years while your generation dies out, because obviously you're not up to the task. And it's your children who are born in the desert, born free, that will go in and take over the land. So, as you can imagine, there is now a lot of grumbling. Even though people were not up to the task, it's really, when you think about it, within the personality of the people, if you will, who've been slaves, and their generations have been slaves for 129 years. They've been beaten down. They have no self-esteem, no sense of community. They doubt their ability to be free, and that's what comes along with that, or some other personality traits, let's face it, that they're going to not serve them very well. So people are grumbling instead of accepting their fate and saying, yeah, I guess we weren't up to the task, which, it's typical human nature, right? Nobody wants to admit that they've done wrong sometimes, or that, they're not up to the task. We find these defense mechanisms to kind of preserve our self-esteem, if you would. So what happens now? Well, this is the beginning of some real intrigue in the wilderness. The first thing is that there are three people. Yes, Korah, who is a Levite, decides to lead a rebellion. He's not happy, and he's not happy with his lot that he gets to only be a Levite. Additionally, you have Nathan and Dathan and Abiram from Egypt, and Dathan, as we remember, was portrayed by E.G. Marshall in the Ten Commandments. They're from the tribe of Reuben. So we've got two people that lead a rebellion. Two of them have grudges. Korah doesn't think that he should be relegated to just being a flunky Levite, relegated to carrying around, parts of the tabernacle. He wants to be in charge. Also, Dathan and Abiram see this as an opportunity to take control of the Israelites. So they're all challenging Moses. Now, in a way, there's sort of a common theme here. Now, although it's not portrayed in the actual Torah, there is a midrash that talks about what Korah said to the Israelites in order to convince them that Moses was not up for the job, that he was in fact deceiving them. One of the things he says is he poses these questions, and I believe the word is demagogue, somebody who thinks that, they're smart and they're with the information, and they should be relegated to esteem because of what they know, but they really don't. So what does he say? He asks Moses, he says, okay, so if you have a library with Torah scrolls, why do you need a mezuzah? You know, the Torah scrolls got all this Torah in it, and the mezuzah has a parchment with only 3 portions. Why do you need the mezuzah? The fringes on the talit. If you've got a talit that's blue, why do you need just those little threads of blue, right? So he starts trying to use the Torah commandments against Moses, right? Again, first example of propaganda, of spinning, of you taking the truth and twisting it, you know, for his own purposes. And in a way, this kind of continues the idea of Lashon Hara. So I've given a lot of sermons about gossip and talebearing, and people say, why do you focus on it? I don't. The Torah does. What did we have in the last portion? Okay, we had the spies coming in and twisting the truth. They said, okay, we can't, you know, we've looked at the land, very hardy warriors. There's no way we're going to be able to overpower them, especially since you've got the Nephilim, you know, those giants that were mentioned in Genesis. You know, they're there too. There's no way we're going to be able to do this. Okay, so were there hardy warriors? Yes. Were the Israelites going to be defeated? No, God was behind them, right? Same thing here. Okay, Korah is taking the Torah commandments and he's twisting them and making it look like it's a real pain in the neck for anybody to really do it. And, you know, a lot of it is just kind of willful and not really realistic. So Moses gets on his face and he's bowing before God. Now, a word about Moses. Moses has developed a real humility. You know, he's developed a real caring for the Israelites, and he tries to plead with Korah, don't do this. You know, God put me in charge. You know, this isn't something I asked for. This is something God came to me and said, I want you to lead the people out of Egypt. You know, just go along with it. It's fine. As a side note, there is a man, On, that is mentioned as being part of the rebellion. And he's only mentioned once and he's not mentioned again. The Midrash says that his wife basically talked some sense into him. She said, what difference does it make? If you rebel against Moses, nothing's going to be gained. You'll still be a Levite. You'll still be doing what you did anyway, except now you would have been part of a rebellion. You know, so what's the point? So Korah, of course, being a Levite, doesn't think he should be relegated to just being a servant, being kind of a flunky who gets to who carts around all this stuff, which, by the way, is a fantastic honor. You know, to be able to be taking care of the parts of the tabernacle. Dathan and Abiram were from the tribe of Reuben, and the tribe of Reuben, was all upset because God said, "Okay, I'm giving the honor of the firstborn." From the Reubenites, who should have been firstborn, but of course Reuben was not up to the task, to the Levites that actually defended God's honor. And they didn't like that either, so they had a rebellion. So Moses sets up these tasks, and, you know, through God, he says, okay, bring your incense, and, you know, whoever God chooses, and God, of course, chose Aaron, you know, and Levites' incense, and, you know, Korah and them Korah and his rebellion were killed by a plague. Dathan and Abiram, same thing, a hole opens up, and, you know, their rebellion is put down. There is an interesting footnote and a side note to all this too. If you remember the 13 attributes of God, when Moses says, how are we going to know you? God says, you know, visiting the iniquity of the parents to the 3rd and 4th generation. Not that this is something that God determines, but, you know, when you're under the influence of people that are up to no good, that's what you learn. You know, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. In the case of Korah's sons, they saw the bad influence of their father Korah, and they had better character, more integrity. So actually, in the book of Psalms, the Psalms 42 to 49 are from the sons of Korah, and in fact, Psalm 48 is the psalm that we recite for Monday, for Yom Sheni. It's to honor the sons of Korah that turned around. And we've mentioned this before, but the sages say that if you grow up in a bad environment, a negative environment where people don't have integrity or good character, and you develop integrity and character yourself, you've really overcome some hurdles, right? Some disadvantages. I mean, you've really, you know, risen to the task here, and you should be honored because you started out behind everybody else, right? So this is basically the portion, Korah. And we're going to see some more issues come about in numbers, because again, the people are upset. They have to die in the wilderness, and as you can imagine, that leads to a lot of disdain and a lot of disappointment, and these people were just not up to accepting it. Okay, so that's this week's portion. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for allowing me to join you. Look forward to seeing you Friday, either here in person, or please tune us in on the web, and you'll be getting more. We'll be sending out information on that too. So again, Shabbat Shalom, and thanks for listening.